All right, hello. Welcome to another book review. Okay, so this book was not on my list of 21 series. It's kind of a bonus one. This was recommended to me by someone I know. I was telling them about the whole werewolves thing, and wished I could read more werewolf books. So this is her favorite one, called The Perfect Luna. This is not available on Kindle. I had to get it by paperback, which I have right here. So it's a hefty book. It has 590 pages on romance.io, and it only has 17 ratings. Of those 17 ratings, it's a 4.39, which is probably one of the highest rated books I have. On my list of 21 series, only a couple books that are highly rated. There's not that many ratings, so I don't know. I feel like it's better. It's people that have sought out this book. And I believe it's part of the Omega verse. So there's Omegas, Betas, and Alphas, which I believe this might be the first book of my experience with this. So I'm really excited for it. It's highly recommended. I want to check it out. And I want to read my first paperback romance novel. It's been sitting on my nightstand for a little bit. Got it for Christmas, and I'm ready to check this out. So looking at the cover, Perfect Luna, we've got a woman in a wedding dress, Marissa Gilbert. Got a moon. We've got, looks like lavender, extremely hot woman, blonde and blue eyes and all that stuff. So it's published in 2020, so it's only been a 5-year-old book. Hopefully one day the author gets it to Kindle, but this was given to me by a friend. It's a 4 to 5 on Spice rating, so we'll see. There is no content tags on romance.io. It is werewolves and shapeshifters and looks like time travel. And it's tagged as the Omegaverse. So, anyways, that's all I got to say. I'm going to read the book, and I'll let you know how I like the book. All right, so I read the book. It's actually very good. I really like the book. This book really isn't really a strictly romance book. There's a ton of plot going on here. This book is thick. Like, this book got some curves. There's not a lot of descriptions going on here. We kind of just like moved to plot point with not a lot going on, but everything is relevant. There's no fat on this steak here. And that's not really the only thing I could say bad about it, is that I wish there was just more. Like, I wish we'd slow down and just like saw descriptions for everything and take our time with all these chapters. Even as it is, it's one of the longer books I've read. It's very thick. But the book is generally about a woman who gets a second chance to pick up the broken pieces of her life. And the way that it's done and unravels and stuff, it is so much fun to read. I couldn't put down the book once I'd started reading it. You're just rooting for her to... You saw the consequences of her acting like a rational, normal person who would act in this situation. She gets a second chance to go back in time to fix everything that she couldn't do in the first place with the betrayal. And we get to see what she should have done to stop everything from happening in her life. And it was written first as one of those online publications where it drops chapter after chapter on a website for the Omegaverse. And then the author published it eventually. So all the chapters are basically like cliffhangers, which can be aggravating in some instances, but not in this book. I think it was well done. Like, something's about to happen at the end of every chapter. Like, oh, what's the next reveal? Like, there'd be times where we change point of view, and like they're just having a normal romance scene, and I'm like sitting there like, yeah, what's about to happen? Like, what revelation are we about to have right now? And I get rewarded for that. By the end of the book, it's a complete book, so I think it's part of a 4-part series, but all the plot points and character arcs are pretty much done in this book. I don't know what's going to happen in the other books. I haven't researched the other part of the series. I'll probably be continuing it eventually and stuff, but I'm pretty sure it's like different romances. Yeah, it was a 5-star read. Everything worked out beautifully. Go read the book. It's really good. All the characters had dimensionality to them. They were not one-dimensional. Like, they were all relatable. Even the characters I hated with every fiber of my being, I could relate and understand what they were going through and be like, maybe I might act like that in their situation. Even the asshole that betrayed his wife, I kind of understood where he was coming from. And that really says a lot about the author's ability for me to empathize with every character. It's really good. The world building is great. It's tagged as Omegaverse on romance.io, and I believe it was published on a website that's kind of specifically for Omegaverse books. The author expected you to understand what the Omegaverse was because there's a lot of terms thrown out that I've never really heard before, but didn't have any kind of explanation. But I was able to like glean the context from it, like omegas and deltas and gammas and betas and alphas and lunas. Like these terms are thrown at you, and you just kind of have to expect to be known what they are. Unlike shifters and stuff like that, like it all comes from context. There's never any kind of expo dump, so you just kind of have to know what it is. I still don't know what it is, but I'm working here. Spice was pretty good. There was nothing like super kinky or anything. I've found the romance leading up to the spice was better than the actual spice. Because at that point, that's where they acted like werewolves, where they're just going at each other. But once they get into the spice, it was like, it's just normal romantic sex, you know? I did like that it felt like it was equals. Like both partners were like reciprocating. It was very nice. And the werewolves were the best part of this book. So each of these characters has this animal inside of them, and they were absolutely hilarious. I was dying every time the werewolves were even speaking. It was great. So that's what I would say. It was a great read. It was compact and tight, and the story unfolded beautifully. It had a great payoff towards all the characters. Characters were incredible. I empathized with all of them, and even the ones I absolutely detested. And I love the world it was all set in. So 5 stars. Go read the book. From here on out, there's spoilers, so be prepared. And I mean it, because part of the fun of this book is how it unravels not knowing what's going to happen. So if you have any thoughts about reading this book and you haven't, please go read the book. The spoilers will detract from your reading experience, I promise you. You've been warned. All right, let's give some context about some of these terms. We have a bunch of different nations that are run by alphas, which are like a king or a lord or something. And they are all separate nations. It's kind of like feudalism. There's also a king in the world who's kind of like the greatest nation and the greatest alpha and stuff. They call them king. And the rest of the lords are alphas. They still feel like kings of each of their nations, though. At least how they act and stuff. And then we have the Luna, which is the queen of the nation. But it feels so much more than just a queen or a figurehead and stuff. They have a lot of duties that they do. The work of managing a nation is split up between the Alpha and the Luna, and they have like shared equal responsibility. You have betas, which are kind of like the hand of the king so much. They listen to the Alpha, they support the Alpha, they run around with the Alpha. And the Luna doesn't have one of those, but the Alpha does. You have gammas, which are kind of like military leaders, I think. It was kind of glazed over because they were calling people in the military gammas, but then they call like the leader the gamma. And I'm like, I don't know the distinguish between these two. Like, it seems like the gammas are the military people. You have deltas, which they talked about, which was probably like craftsmen, but I didn't see any context with that. I don't know what that is. And then you have the omegas, which are basically like slaves or peasants and stuff. Like, they talk about omegas being slaves in other nations, but the nation we're following, they're more like peasants or the lowest echelon of society. I think there's more. I don't know. But that's what was relevant in this book. Everyone in this world is a shifter, or at least the ones that we saw. There is mention of humans without wolves, but that they always talk about that being a fate worse than death. Then there's all these nations and stuff are led by some kind of shifters, whether it's were-cats, were-foxes, were-bears, were-birds, werewolves, and then you got the lichens. So there's not really mentioned any humans, like normal humans and stuff. I don't know if they exist and stuff, but that's what we have, just a bunch of shifters and nations. Every human has an animal inside them. And we have this thing called a true mate, which is like a soulmate. It's like the other half of your soul, and their souls are basically the animals inside them. So a true mate is the other half of the wolf inside you. The wolves can recognize their true mates as soon as they get their sense of their true mate. If you do not find your true mate, which is pretty common, I think most of the shifters don't find a mate. I don't know why. I feel like they should all just like kind of have an annual ball where everyone shows up and finds their mates. I guess that's too hard for them or not as much fun. I don't know. Where they can like have pheromones of their body and stuff and pass it around so people can go to a library to like check on see which ones are made or something. I feel like there's a lot more efficient way than random chance in this universe. Anyways, so if you do not find your true mate, you can become what's called a chosen mate. This is basically marriage. You find someone that's close enough and you decide to spend your entire life with them. So you make marriage vows or a contractual marriage vow where like you're telling them like, if I find my true mate after we're together, I'm supposed to reject my true mate. Rejection seems to be quite painful. So you're basically denying the other half of your soul. So this chosen mate thing is very serious. And I think the chosen mate thing is even more romantic than true mate. Like it's too easy. Just like, oh yeah, she's my soulmate. That's good. We know there's no questions. But to have to sacrifice and have this chosen mate that you're like, I love you so much that I will reject my true mate if I find them. Like you are it. It's not like a settling and stuff. You're sacrificing to choose it. I think it's a higher form of love than I just found my soulmate. In the case of our story, we start out and find out that the Alpha and Luna have been seeing each other from high school. It was kind of an arranged marriage between royalty of the wolves, and you get your wolf at 18 and you're able to find out if you're soulmates, because at the time of their arranged marriage they didn't know. And they're not, they're high royalty, but they're not soulmates. So they give themselves a little time to go and see if they can find their true mate. They don't, and they decide at the age of 19, they're like, let's just get married and have a powerful wolf nation. And that's what happens for 6 years. So the characters are 25 and at the start of this book. They were chosen mates, and they've led the most powerful wolf nation in the world. And the alpha of this nation is the most respected alpha. She's the most respected Luna. They kind of have a lot of sway in politics because they're the most powerful one. So then we started the book. First day, the alpha has found his true mates and has brought her home. And he's like, look, isn't this great? My wolf needs her. Because when you're around your true mate, you heal faster. You're more powerful when you have the whole of your soul. So he's trying to say that he needs his true mate around so that he can be more powerful when he's being lustful. He wants to keep his wife and his mistress. And understandably, the chosen mate's like, fuck no. These werewolves are very possessive. They don't want to share. So she asks him to reject her, like he needs to. The chosen marriage vows is that if you find a true mate, you need to reject her. And bringing her into their lives and stuff is going to cause discord and hurt their nation and stuff. Like they don't need that distraction between all this going on and everything. Like everyone's expecting him to reject her, but he doesn't. And that's the betrayal. He believes that he can get both. Their love is so powerful that she's not going to leave him and stuff. She's just going to have to accept it someday. That's not what happens. It wouldn't be so bad if our Cinderella true mate girl wasn't evil. In this case, the true mate is evil and is trying to take over the Luna position and get rid of our Luna. So the true mate is now turning all of her friends against her because she's being emotional. She's being distraught. She's being sulking and stuff for being betrayed and not acting like how a true leader should. And, like not putting her big girl pants on and leading the nation. She's hurt and understandably hurt. But the true mate has goals to become the Luna. So she's basically getting all the public support against her and taking over her role. And then a year later, the true mate kills the Luna. The moon goddess, Selene, has found her in favor and decides to resurrect her, send her back in time to when her husband chose the true mate, and give her a second chance. And that's when we start our book. That's chapter 1. This book is thick. There's so much happening at once. It's crazy. And at first I was like, why isn't the author giving us information about stuff that we should know about, that Luna obviously knows about as we're moving through? A lot of the descriptions were kind of missing, but I think it works out this way because as I went, what was relevant was the only thing that was being brought to us. It all gets unraveled and revealed as we go. Every chapter is packed with new information. There's no fat on this steak, as I said earlier. Like Everything is just relevant. There's no filler. It's so much fun to go to these chapters and just constantly get these revelations about each of these characters and fill them out. And so much is happening here. Like I couldn't even explain here the whole book. It would take the entire time it would take for you to read a book for me to explain the book. It's like 15 hours read. Go read the book. But the most important thing about her now coming back in a year is she's had time to mourn. She's not emotionally distraught anymore. She's over this betrayal or parts of it. She's still hurt, but she's able to be lucid now. She's not wallowing in her own pity. So she's able to now fight back. So she keeps her cool. She stays calm and stuff. She accepts the true mates, on paper, and is able to like fight for the respect and public opinion of how a Luna should act. Because yes, the husband didn't reject and stuff, but she's still got to lead her nation. She's still got to take care of the true mate and not kick her out as much as she wants to. And then because she knows the actions that the true mate is going to take to undermine her public support, she can now plan for it and get ready for it. Like we have this alpha ball thing where every year all the alphas and their lunas get together and have some annual like military ball or something. And the alpha decides to take his true mate instead of his luna like he should. So in the past, she let him this destroy her. She was sulking at the bar, staring jealously at the two people while everyone's like, oh my gosh, she just can't get over this. Like, move on, But this time, she knows the dresses and stuff are coming in, and the Luna always gets to pick first. True mate comes in and wants to pick a dress, and she's like, oh my gosh, it's such a Cinderella story. So the Luna had in her hands a really tacky dress, and before she gave her the best dress in the previous timeline. So now this time she has a tacky one ready for her because the true mate's going to come in and be like, oh, that's such a beautiful dress you're holding there. I wish I could have it. And the Luna's going to give it to her. Because that's what happens in the past too, but it was with the dress she actually wanted. But this time, the true mate got the bad dress. It makes her look really bad, and the Luna got the good dress. It's petty, but it's awesome. And that's this kind of stuff that we're going to start doing now, because she knows what happens. And then we get to the ball itself. So before, like I said, she was sulking at the bar. This time, she's going around talking to all the single alphas and stuff and flirting and politicking and talking to all the leaders and stuff and bringing in public support and ignoring the true mate and her husband like she should have done in the first place. So instead of the Luna now sulking at the bar being jealous, the husband is now watching her across the ball and being jealous. The tables have turned, my lad. And that's generally what the first act of this entire book is. She's showing the world that she's still a leader of their nation. Even though she's been betrayed and everyone has sympathy for her and stuff, she's not going to let it wear her down or stop her from consuming her duties. She's not letting everyone know this homewrecker's gotten her claws into her hearts and minds of those people. She moves on and has a better life. Or she's moving on, anyways. There's just so much to impact in this actual introduction to characters and concepts, but I don't have time to go over all of it. It's generally about her reversing the situation with the true mate Cinderella story and like undermining her ability to undermine the Luna's public support. So that gets us to Act 2, which is when we meet our male main character lead. So I got to give some context before we get into the main male character, because the entire arc of him starts in chapter 1, but it's something I haven't said yet, which is that for the moon goddess to send her back in time, she had to sacrifice something. And her wolf, her soul, her spirit and stuff had to be sacrificed to some extent. Wasn't quite killed, but Luna can't shift. She can't shift into her wolf form, and everyone's expected to shift. This is seen as like a really bad thing. All the alphas and lunas and leaders and politicians, they're all expected to be able to shift into wolves. They're much more powerful as a wolf, so if they can't shift, they can't protect themselves, then they can't protect their nation. They can't lead a nation if they're not strong. Might is right in this world. And no one knows that she can't shift, and she's trying to keep it under wraps so that her wolf can heal from the transition from the future to the past, and she can have her wolf back. But what that means is she doesn't have access to the things that the wolf gives her, which one of them being knowing when her true mate is around. And that's when we're introduced to King Gideon, who's the king of the Lycans. He's the king of basically of everyone, and they had this alliance and stuff. And he's pretty much considered like the most powerful werewolf. And they're at this alpha ball, and he senses her, and he smells her, and knows that she, the Luna of the FMC, and he sniffs her out and realizes that she's his true mate. So the FMC that has been betrayed now has a true mate in the room, and it's the king of the Lycans. But she doesn't know it, and he does. Now he's going crazy. Because the entire culture of this werewolves is that when two true mates see each other, they claim each other as mine, screaming loudly from the top of their lungs, and hug and kiss, and everyone stops what they're doing to witness it because it's beautiful. Finding a true mate is a celebrated event. Like, they will stop whatever they're doing to witness it. And she's not responding, and he's very confused. I find this like romantic and tragic at the same time. It's a subversion of this culture that we have been introduced to and stuff. Like, he has to now romance her the old-fashioned way. He has to court her and stuff and start talking to her, and can't just claim her. He needs consent. So he's fighting back all these instincts and urges to grab her and make sure no one ever touches her and stuff, and becoming this jealous, possessive person over here and protect her and stuff, but he can't because she's not responding. And it's like tragic for him because he's like yearning for her. All his thoughts are consumed now by this true mate and trying to understand why she's not doing the same thing to him. And then she actually comes to him to petition him to change the laws of the land because she wants to get a divorce. She hasn't told her husband she wants to get a divorce because that's not going to go well, because if he says no, she can't get a divorce. So she wants to petition the legislature to change the laws so that it's very possible for her to initiate a divorce, and she can get a divorce without her husband's permission and get her lands back, because before she was a royal, they merged their two nations. She wants to become an alpha. She is an alpha. She has the alpha markers in her blood and stuff, and she's a Luna to one of the most powerful alphas, but she wants to lead her own nation. She needs to petition the king to do this. And he's very happy to spend time with her now because he wants to find out what's going on with this true mate thing. And she wants to lay the groundwork for her to be able to get a divorce while making sure her husband doesn't suspect that she wants one. The best part about the king is that he will move mountains for his true mate. That's the expectation and stuff. And by gosh, if she wants to change the laws to let women be equal in this land, he's going to do it. So this Act 2 is basically the politicking of them gaining support in this council to give equal rights to women, while also making sure that the Cinderella true mate is not undermining her and her husband doesn't suspect that she wants a divorce. He's still believing that they'll stay together and he can have his true mate and his wife. Like, newsflash, no one's going to be okay with that when you force it upon them, ever. But she's just feeding him this idea that it could possibly work. You know, she just needs time while she's working towards a divorce in the background. It's quite clever. And then the end of the second act ends with the FMC being granted her divorce and changing the laws for equality of women, and finding out that the king is actually her true mate. They started their romance and stuff. The wolf inside of her was able to gain enough energy to tell her mates. They pounce on each other. They have their spice, you know, and now she's able to claim that she's the true mate of the king, and he's able to claim her now. But at the end of the Act 2, after that has all happened, the UN building explodes, and we begin Act 3. We start Act 3, which is this traitor invasion plot from the werefoxes and the werebears that has been undergoing throughout the book. It's been hinted at. There's been like an investigation and stuff, but that hasn't been the focus. And now this is now the focus to end our book. The nations are in trouble, and there's an actual reason why she was sent in the past by the moon goddess. Is that after Luna died, the rest of the nation started falling to this invasion force, and everyone died. It wasn't just her. She didn't get to see it, but her wolf did. So now it's about stopping this invasion. And this divorce and stopping the Cinderella true mate from like subterfuging and stuff actually helps build up the nation and help them to be able to fight this invasion. So it was all happening in the background while this romance was happening as well. Because the husband's true mate isn't his true mate. It's actually a werefox that has been masking the scent to his true mate. So it's basically tricked him into thinking he has a true mate, and she's not. Which immediately raises a lot of questions, like, because is the wolf supposed to recognize the other part of the soul? How the fuck can you fake that? Is there like a spectrum of the soul? Can you get close enough? I don't know how it's possible if they can just chemically induce it, but that just all can of worms there. And that's really the most tragic part of this story, is that this man has betrayed his marriage vows for this true mate woman when she was lying to him the entire time. So he ends up with nothing for his betrayal. He loses his perfect wife and perfect nation, the strongest nation. He loses all the respect that he had from all the other alphas. He loses all his money and lands. Like, his fall for his betrayal is ultimately what this book is about, and it's so much fun to watch unfold. And he watches his ex-wife, who he's still in love with, fall in love with her true mate now, and watch her have a better life as his crumbles to nothing. It is so satisfying to watch. Go read the book. It's incredible and masterfully well done, and it's such a payoff. All right, so we have traders now that are acting in the wolven nations. We have the foxes able to mask their scent and change their scent to make them feel like they're werewolves and stuff. We have wolves that want to become kings now of the wolven nation, so they want to fight against the current powers and stuff. And you have the werebears and werefoxes are not happy with this, and they're preparing for invasion force. The political pieces have been moving around on the chessboard this entire book, and it's very fun to watch. And now they're set, and we're about to have a war. And their heroes prevail. The villainous schemes are thwarted. Our protagonists get married, and we have our happy ending. There's so much more happening here, but I really can't condense it down in an hour. Like, just go read the book. But ultimately, that is the general synopsis of what happens. All right, let's talk about the world building. As I've talked about earlier, this is part of the Omegaverse, and I think it's tagged as Omegaverse. They don't say anything about Omegaverse anywhere, so I'm just assuming it's Omegaverse. There are Omegas. So my favorite part of this Omegaverse is that these animals are much different than the humans that they inhabit. They're very much simple-minded and naive. And this is done very well in very fun ways. Okay, so I'll give you an example. Later in the book, a woman finds her true mate, and we kind of like switch POVs to her and doing this romance. They get in bed. They got all the true mate tingles going on. They're having great sex and stuff. She falls asleep. She puts on his shirts and she goes and checks on her mate at like 2 a.m. And he's talking to our villain. He is a traitor and she is a soulmate to a traitor. This breaks her and has upset her. And she's like, I need to reject this soulmate thing. It's very tragic to find your soulmate, the person you've been dreaming of for 25 years, to find out he's actually a traitor and betraying you and trying to get your brother killed and stuff so he can have you all to himself and be king. And the wolf inside of her is like, are you sure? Did you look at his face? How can that face be a traitor? Did you not see the face? Like, I think we should, talk to him a little bit, find out more about this whole traitor. I'm not convinced. And she very much has to control the wolf. She's like, no, he's a traitor. He literally just said he's trying to kill our brother. And the wolf's like, are you sure? It's so cute. I absolutely love it. I was just dying laughing during the whole time. And there's another part in the end where the Luna has been captured by the villain. And he doesn't know that she can shift. She's done some subterfuge and misinformation to let him know that she can't shift, but she can. But she's there to like gain information, find out who all the traitors are before killing him, so that they get them all. And the wolf inside of her, he like has his arms crossed. He's like, I'm not impressed. Like, can I just kill him? And Luna's like, are you sure you can kill him? And the alpha wolf's like, yeah, he's just a hybrid dweeb. And Luna's like, I don't know if that's a good idea. We're going to have everyone else on us. We should wait for backup. And the wolf's like, I'm an alpha. I'll just kill them all. I don't care. It's such a wonderful time with these wolves inside. They're just like straight, just violence and very simple-minded and loving and just like trusting. It's so much fun playing with this idea of these naive wolves inside of them. I believe in my understanding the Omegas in this universe are kind of like the subs and the alphas are like the doms, but this was never played with in this novel. Like everyone's very much a dom in this book. The women and the men are both very dominant and equal and pounce on each other and stuff. It's very fun and I actually loved it. I thought it was super sexy and stuff. It's very fun seeing these relationships that are kind of equal in a male dominated Omegaverse. I really want to explore more of this Omegaverse. I'm having a blast with the 2 books that I've read so far on it. So I really want to read more of this. Okay, so let's talk about our FMC and our MMC now. The FMC is named Rhiannon, and I really love the structure of her story and character. Because in a normal romance book, we usually have like a Pauper or Cinderella story where she discovers that the king is like her soulmates and the magical girl gets all this special treatment and she swoops in and becomes the queen. And the queen is usually the evil person in these books where she doesn't love the king and she's just using the king for material advantage or actually actively trying to kill him or something. It's so much fun seeing the other side of this, seeing from the queen's perspective as this magical Cinderella girl comes and starts taking all of her status. Because she's usually the evil one here. Like, she becomes calm, cool, and collected in the Ice Queen and stuff. She's usually the villain. And this story is a subversion of this trope. Where, like, what if the magical Cinderella girl was actually evil? It would actually be a really interesting story where the Cinderella actually wasn't evil. And the villainous queen just kind of doesn't want to be overthrown, you know? Like, it's kind of sucked. It's tragic watching your husband fall in love with this magical Cinderella story when you've been loving him for 6 years. But in this story, she's calm, cool, and collected because she's already been through all this. Because you have this idea that maybe your husband will see sense. Maybe your husband is just ruled by lust. He'll go away in a week and he'll come back to you and realize how stupid he is, you know? She's kind of holding out for that, which is kind of reasonable. It's not abnormal in this world for after you have your chosen mates, you find your true mate, and like that's kind of normal. Like I kind of get where they're coming from. In this case, she's evil, but she's already been through a year and knows that he will never reject her. In fact, he's going to actively take her Luna title, even though in this past she keeps saying, "I'm not going to lose my Luna. I'm not going to. I only have one Luna. You're my Luna. She's never going to be my wife." But she knows that's a lie because he eventually makes her his Luna. So she doesn't have to wait anymore. She can be the calm, collected person now. She's done all the sulking. She's good. Because these status and titles and respect aren't tangible things. They're not land you can fight over physically. You have to fight in the psyches and minds and control narratives. It's a completely different way to wage war, and I think it's an incredible way the author has laid it out. Everything is complicated, but simple and relatable at all times. I never lost my immersion in thinking things weren't possible or fantastical. There was many times the protagonist would get into situations where I was like, oh man, she's fucked now. There's no way she's getting out of this. But then she does masterfully. And I'll give you an example. So her husband has just taken his true mate, to bed now, in their marriage bed. They both have their own rooms and stuff, but their king's marriage bed is now being taken over by the true mate. She's in the other room listening to them have sex all night. And they're very loud on purpose. The Mega wants everyone to know what happened. So we're in the morning now, and the entire castle knows that the king has taken the true mate to bed in front of his queen, very disrespectfully. So she has a lot of sympathy right now. And she's in the kitchen getting coffee, and the true mate comes in. She's like, oh, I'm sorry, were we loud? And the queen's like, hey, have them as many times as you want. I don't care. So the true mate is very upset because she wants the queen to start acting out irrationally so she can, take her public support and stuff. But no one's around now, and she's not doing it, so she's got to take actions in her own hands. So our Cinderella, she starts taking plates and stuff and smashing herself with it with only the queen in the room. And she flings herself out the windows where everyone can see she's cut and bleeding and stuff. And the king comes and is like, what happened? Queen, what did you do? And I'm like, I don't know how you can get out of this. This is looking bad for you. But the queen's calm and cool and collected and just sipping her coffee. She's like, I didn't do it. And I'm like, are you serious? What do you have us believe? It's like, believe you want. She did it to herself. She was beating herself, yelling and stuff, and then threw herself out the window. And she's like, but the chef heard us. She's like, chef, what did you hear? The chef's like, I heard Roxanne, the Cinderella, saying things, but I didn't hear anything from the queen. And the queen's like, smell her. My scent isn't on her because I didn't touch her. And everyone's confused and stuff. They're like, who do we believe? And he's like, I've been here for 6 years. You're going to believe this girl that just showed up a week ago over your queen that's been here for 6 years? I didn't touch her. And she's got the public support because they all believe her. The only person that doesn't believe her is the husband. And I'm just like, wow. That was incredible. Good job. Because she's expected to be emotional and distraught over the night's events and stuff. So she's not acting how everyone would expect her to. So they all have this respect for her for like taking it and putting her big girl bridges on, you know? So I love how she's dismantling all this true mateness doing this. And, but this is also subverted too. So even the queen can be emotional irate at times. So I'll give you an example. So we have the King Gideon. And she's in the Nation of Lycans right now, and we're getting done with a sexy time, and she's asking him to have an alliance with the Northern Lands because they need to be united about this invasion force she knows is going to be happening. And the king's like, no, it's not going to work. It's never going to work. And she's like, my love, you tell me all the time everything. We need to share all of our stuff. Like, why aren't you telling me what's happening here? He's like, okay, you're not going to like it. But the reason that it was broken off is because I wouldn't agree to a arranged marriage. And Luna is like, what? This calm, cool, collected queen can get a little irate when it comes to her soulmate. Even thought of another woman touching her soulmate definitely sends her into like a jealous rage. He's like, yes, it was arranged marriage and I broke it off. And she's like, it's very important to know that you broke it off. But why did you break it off? She has to know. She has to know that no one's touched him. He's like, I was waiting for you, my soulmate. I couldn't go with it. I didn't want an arranged marriage. I wanted a soulmate. She's like, good. It's really cute. It's really endearing that we can see this other side of the queen, that when it comes to her like beloved and stuff, she's very much as possessive and jealous as the rest of them. She loses her cool for that. It's definitely the most endearing moment for me in her character, where we see her being so rational and logical, and then she's like, don't fucking touch my mate. That's really like the joy of this whole book. Like, all these characters are super fleshed out. It's so much fun. All right, so let's talk about our MMC, King Gideon. He's this incredibly aggressive, huge, possessive, jealous king. He is ready to come to violence at any moment and fight for what he believes in. He constantly threatens to kill people like throughout the entire book. He's also been waiting for his true mate, unlike her FMC who gave it up and settled for a chosen mate early in her life so she could lead the most powerful werewolf nation in the world. I get that. But what makes King Gideon a great character is that, yeah, he'll burn the world for her. But we love that, you know, but that's his nature. He's violent and possessive. Of course he's going to burn the world and kill people for it. To do that for your soulmate it's not a sacrifice. Like, that's what he's going to do anyways. And what's hot and endearing about King Gideon is that when it comes to his true mate, he will do anything for her. And what does she want? She wants women's equal rights. He's like, all right, babe, let's sign this legislature and let's get this law passed. I'm going to go up all nations. We're going to talk to all of them because we're going to get you equal rights. You are not whole right now. You are missing a part of you. You need your nations. You need to become an alpha. I am going to support you. You are my true mate. I will sacrifice this for you. He doesn't have to do that. He's got his true mate. So like, it's so hot and endearing that he will do anything for him. So he goes against his nature and sacrifices his nature and desires for his true mate to make her whole again. That's true love. He doesn't force her to do anything. He doesn't emotionally manipulate her. He lets her come to all of her decisions on her own. He doesn't tell her that she's his soulmate. He wants her to realize it herself without any hints from him. He just wants to be around her and romance her and stuff. He needs to be around his true mate. And finally, she discovers that he is his true mate, and it's so wonderful and endearing, this whole buildup. I don't want a man that would normally burn the world for me. I want the man who can burn the world to promise never to burn the world for me. That's sacrifice. And that's true love. You're going against your nature. My heart's swooning. I love this king. This guy is a legend among men. And that's why I like this romance more than other stories. Like, it's about subverting your own nature to love the woman. And that's what the husband should have done. He should have controlled his lust and his mate and his wolf inside of him and stuff. The husband didn't sacrifice. He didn't sacrifice like he said that he would. And he falls for it. He falls from grace because of this. We have this juxtaposition of these two characters in this woman's life and stuff. And the person that didn't sacrifice for his love loses everything, while the person that did sacrifice gets everything, gets her. It's so beautiful. Soulmates are cute and all, but finding one is adorable when they do. The true burning tingles I'm looking for in my romances is when you fight against your nature to be more than the sum of the parts with your soulmate. It has to be work. It has to be sacrifice. It's so much more romantic that way. All right, so let's talk about our antagonists, or there are three of them, whatever. So we have the Cinderella story, which we find out that she's lying. She's not the true mate. She's actually a fox, and she's trying to undercut this nation so that be prepared for invasion. But why is she doing all this? It's because she's in love with the king of the foxes. She was part of his harem, and she has this ability of being able to get men to be very lustful for her, because she's like half siren and fox. And then she can mask the scent to full wolves and stuff and being true mate. But she's doing this all because she believes that once these nations fall, the king of the foxes is going to take her and she's going to be his Luna. She doesn't know that, he doesn't love her, but she's fooled herself into believing it. So it's really tragic. She's doing all this death and like undercutting this for her true love as well. And that's what's really cool, because you have this really detestable character and you're able to kind of relate with her. Like, that kind of makes sense. You're doing this all for love. I get that. It's very believable. We really delve into her point of view and stuff and understand where she's coming from. And it makes sense. And then we have Brayson, who's the husband. He's an antagonist partially. And the book is really about his downfall and how the queen basically gets her revenge on him for betraying her. That's the ultimate thesis for this overarching. There's so much going on, but that's ultimately what each part is. We see him bringing the true mate in, betrayal and stuff, and then her acting against him. And then we see him losing her in a divorce, losing his lands, losing his money and stuff. And then the third act, we see him losing his true mate as well. He is left with nothing, on his knees, penniless, a pauper now, lost the respect of all his alphas, and the woman he loves is now with her true mates, and he gets to watch her be happy. It's such a great fall for a villain, and so much fun to watch. Unfortunately, I think death was too good for him. He does, at the end, throw himself in the way of a spear and save his Luna, which is, I guess, it's romantic. It's just too good for him. That's not the punishment he deserves. There's only one way to atone for your sins: if you betrayed someone. And it's to watch the love of your life, who's happy a partner, become happy and thrive and become better than when she was with you. That's true atonement. So watching her become so much more than what she could be with you. That's all we can do, because we can't go in the past and change our lives. We can't change the pain that has been caused. It's set in stone. All we can do is move on and become ultimately better than we were before we were betrayed. And watching that and seeing that it happened in spite of you is the ultimate punishment, in my opinion. And then we have our last villain, the ultimate villain, which is the King of the Foxes. He's kind of the perfect foil to the werewolves, in that where the werewolves are very honorable and want physical altercations to resolve all their things, the foxes work with subterfuge, politics, and public opinion, turning people against each other. And it's really so much fun seeing these two forces clash and stuff. And where the werewolves are very monogamous, the foxes are polygamous. He has a harem and stuff, and he wants to own a bunch of different women and everything, not just have one true mate. And it's really just fun watching all these perfect plans that worked in the first timeline being undercut and undone by Luna during this entire book. I would say out of everything that didn't work in the book, the stuff that I didn't like would be this part. The villain captures our Luna to make her his without her consent. He does this because he thinks that she can't shift into a wolf. She's lied and said that she can't shift into a wolf, but I don't really understand what the plan was here, because he thinks it's very much like, oh, she's never going to be able to shift again. It's very not true. He knows that she wasn't able to shift for a while, but he saw her gain the wolf back, and now he thinks that the wolf's gone again. He actually like thinks it's never coming back. Why? Where did that idea come from? I just don't understand the plan. I give it a pass because now we get to see Luna go in and turn all of his harem against him, which is very satisfying to watch. So I'll allow that one little plot hole because it's so much fun to see how that goes. And then it's a very satisfying scene. The foxes lose the chess game of this whole invasion and public opinion thing. It's great. All right, so let's talk about the spice. There's no content warnings or dubious consent or anything. Everything was kind of vanilla, so I don't think there's any trigger warnings. There's definitely a lot of gaslighting, though. So if you don't want to watch men gaslight women and have sex with them and then like dump them afterwards, like, don't read this. I was a little disappointed in the actual sex because this is a werewolf book, and I was expecting much more aggression and biting and fighting and nails raking each other's skin. That's more of like leading up to the spice, the romancing part, the gleam in their eyes. They look at each other and disrobe each other. But as soon as the clothes come off, it kind of becomes like just kind of vanilla sex. It's not the greatest. It's not bad, but I would say like the sexy parts are right before they take off their clothes. It's definitely not like super spicy. There's a lot of sex in the book, so it is a 4 out of 5, but it's not anything really past vanilla. Doesn't need to be perfect. It was cute and lovable. It was a good time, so I enjoyed it. All right, final thoughts. I had a blast unraveling the downfall of this husband that has betrayed his wife. It was this amazing feel-good story of comeuppance that we don't get to see in our normal lives because it's fun to revel in, especially if you've been betrayed in your own life. Ultimately, what heals someone who has been betrayed is moving on and becoming so much more than what could have been with that man that has betrayed you. And I think this is a great template for how we should act when someone betrays us instead of acting out destructively and destroying our own lives. Because ultimately, we can't take it back, and they can't take it back either. I can't take back any of the betrayals I have done, and I can't take back the betrayals someone else has done. It's happened. It's set in stone, and I can't change it. Unlike the characters in this book, we only have one life to live, and we can't let it stay in our hearts and destroy us. We have to become something much more and destroy them with the realization that we are living a much better life than we had with them. And that was the ultimate result of the end of this book. It's just comeuppance, and it was so much fun to read. The husband witnessing what his betrayal has cost him, watching his wife happy without him, and he gets nothing for his betrayal. That's how you get real revenge from someone who betrayed you. That's how you make them regret their actions, by moving on and being super happy. That's what destroys the other person that has betrayed you. They realize they can't have you anymore, and you're much more than when they had you. That's my opinion anyways. Maybe you think you have other ideas about revenge. That's how I get my revenge. I love the Omegaverse. I really want to explore these werewolf books. I'm having a blast with these werewolf books. Every single one has been so much fun. I'm looking forward to reading more Marissa Gilbert books. I think she has some amazing writing skills and looking forward to more. So thank you, Offer, for writing the book. I had a wonderful time reading the story. The book was gifted to me. I did not buy it, but someone gave you coffee money, and I hope you enjoy your coffee money. I will see you in the next one.